welcome back to Lala D Stitches. My name is Laura and I'm so glad you're joining me. It's been a couple of weeks since we last visited, so I have a lot to share with you. A little precursor before we dive into things. I'm on day 3 of a migraine and I'm doing so much better. Thank you to those of you who on my Instagram have wished me well. It's kind of just one of those things. But if I have kind of a fuzzy brain or if I ever look like squinchy faced, I'm sorry for that. I'm doing my best, and I really wanted to chat with you all today, though. Hi, Gracie, baby. Are you gonna say hi to everybody? Oh yeah, yeah, you're very fancy. Sorry, there we go. There we go. So it may be. Anyways, I wanted to chat with you all because I have lots to share, and I've missed chatting. So I'm here. I'm here because it makes me happy to do this. So hopefully everything goes relatively smoothly and isn't all foggy brained. Gracie off. Good girl. Okay, so let's see, what's our outline for today? That will probably be a way to get my brain organized. So we're going to go through my progress report, and then I have some Stitchy kindness to share and a little bit of haul. And then I also wanted to chat Nashville dreams just for fun because there's a lot of good stuff out there. Okay, so let's get into it. I almost had 3 finishes for you guys. Not FFOs, not fully finished, but finished stitchings. And I ran into thread complications, which we will talk about as we get to. So the first one, I'll show you where we started, which will be in this little file right here. Okay, so the first one is by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And it's the Sweetheart. It was my little Valentine's Day stitch, and I did finish it by Valentine's Day. So just a few days after our last visit, really. Really cute. It's charted in DMCs, and I customized my colors. So when we met last, I just had the border done. And I am now completely done. Let me get my little background here. Super fancy cardboard backdrop. It turned out so cute. And I don't know why it's a small stitch. I picked it as a small stitch intentionally, but I don't know why my brain thought it would be bigger. When I got done, I was like, really? That's it? It's so tiny. But I love how it turned out. I went a little bit more peach with my pinks, and I love the effect of that. I did wind up using 3 colors in my heart so that I still maintained a little bit of that ombre look. Theirs, I think, had 3 or 4 colors to get that effect, but I was working with the variegated, so I just did my red, my medium pink, and then my lightest pink as which was super fun. It was fun to stitch up, and I do have a companion piece to stitch with it, so at some point, I don't know if it'll wait till next year or not, but at some point I'll use more of this same opalescent mystery linen to finish that up. So that'll be fun. There's my one finish. And I haven't decided, the reason I haven't fully finished this is because I haven't decided if I want to frame it or if I want to pillow finish it. I had kind of originally pictured it sitting on my mantle with a couple of other seasonal items, but we'll see. Haven't committed to that, so I didn't want to start digging into that before I had made that decision. Set that down there. Okay, so the next one is, I don't have where we started. All right, well, we'll just talk about where we started instead of finding the pictures. The next one is our Sal, which ended yesterday officially. I mean, obviously you can keep working on your projects. I will have to, because this is where I finished on it. Sorry for the like hard line down the middle. I folded it and I haven't really truly pressed it yet. But this was our Better Together Frosty Sal that I hosted through January and February, and it was so much fun to see everybody working on their projects, and it was just really nice. I enjoyed it greatly. I learned a lot about hosting a sal, and so I'll tweak some things with our next one whenever that comes. But I enjoyed it a lot, so there will be another sal at some point. You can see I have a ghost tree here, and my border's not finished up here. I combined my two designs into one finish, and I ran out of... What? Is this still going? Okay, I'm back. Sorry, my computer did something really strange. Anyways, we were talking about, I ran out of green, I think is where we were. And so I couldn't stitch anymore. I did everything I could until the green, and then I had to hold, and I ordered it, and thankfully that did come in yesterday's mail. I think I have it sitting right here. Yes, it's still in its pretty little bag. That sun could stay behind the clouds. That would be okay with me. Anyway, so I'll get that finished up, and then I've decided that I'm gonna use this stitch as a panel in a project bag. I've seen a couple people finish their projects that way in the last couple of weeks, and I really like that finish. So I think this will be a fun application. That will be a fun application for this. Anyways, so the sal's officially over, I guess, in any kind of formal way, but of course, keep posting your finishes. I'd love to see them as they come, and thank you so much for joining me. It was really delightful. And then I'll share the project bag when it's done. That is that. Okay, so the next one was a new start, and it lives in this little project bag. Let me get its picture out. Thought I had that all pulled out, but that's okay. So this is She Mad Hatter Dreams by Barbara Anna Designs, which you can find her chart downloads on creativepoppy.com. I've also seen her charts in, local needlework shops. So, but if you just want a digital copy, which is usually how I've done it, that's where you can get them. And it's so cute and so fun. And I've seen a couple more finishes on it. And oh my goodness, it's so cute. I love it. I'm really enjoying the stitch of it. So this is where we were. I guess it was a new start. Was it the end of last month? Maybe it was the end of last month. Maybe I'm telling you lies here. Because this is where I started. It was not new in the last 2 weeks. But this is where we are. I wanted to get all of the hair done, but I didn't have this color, so I need to make a run out somewhere and grab that. I should have ordered it when I ordered my green, but things fall through. Anyway, she's so pretty. I love getting her face done and getting up into the hat. I mean, the details, it's really going to start coming to life here. I'm stitching this on, oh fiddle, I dropped it down. A 28 count gray linen. It's just a basic gray, nothing fancy to it, and it is a discontinued color, so I won't bother mentioning that. I won't dig through my bag for it, but yeah, I think she's gonna be really pretty. And it's interesting, this light shows it really nicely. In my dark evening light, I was worried that her hat wouldn't show up very well, that it was too blendy, but it definitely shows. So that's good. That's a relief. Okay, this is my next one that was almost a finish. I mean, it was so dang close. was really bummed. So this is Coffee First by Brenda Gervais, and I have customized some of the colors for it. And where we started last was this. This was one of my New Year's starts for the 12 by 12, which was more like a 6 by 5 or 4 for me. But so I was hoping to get it done this month, and I came really close. She's sitting here. Oh, she's so pretty. So I ran out of, this is Classic Colorworks Frosty for the cup. And I ran out, you can see I didn't quite make it, which was a big bummer. This is on, I think it's a 14 count Ada that I coffee dyed. And I think I'm going to wind up going back, and her face blended in a little bit more than I want it to. So I think I'm going to go in and back stitch that just to give it a little oomph. I considered pulling out the thread and, you know, replacing it, but I just decided I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to back stitch it and give her a little bit more definition there and then leave it. And so finish the cup, and then there's a little bit of back stitching with the words and some details on the cup, and it's done. So really close, but I need to order that. Naturally, I ran out of that after I already had my order coming in from Acorns and Threads. So next order. There's no rush. So, but I'm really pleased with how she's turning out. I had changed up her skirt color, her hat, I mean, pretty much most of the colors. And there's always a part of your brain when you switch out colors, even though I do it a lot and I'm fairly comfortable with it. There's always a part of my brain that's like, is this gonna work out? Like, is this a mistake? Am I gonna wind up either ditching it or restitching it? So it's nice when it actually works out. Okay, next one is, I met my goal on this one, so it kind of counts as a finish, but there's still more to do on the project as a whole. So this is here, we'll put it on the cardboard so it focuses on that instead. Barbara Anna, The Four Seasons, which is a kit which is available only through Nitka Designs. I think it's Nitka Designs. They have a website. I found it through Instagram, one of those Instagram inspirations, if you will. And my goal was to finish the Winter Lady. So this is where we were. And through January, I had added like her wreath over and started to fill in some of her dress and added those little snowflake details on the side. And so I'd done some work, but I really wanted her finished because my goal, it's one of my few goals this year, few formalized goals, is that I would like to finish this piece in its entirety, at least the stitching, with a theory that it would, you know, be on my wall behind me. Anyway, this is where she is. She's all done. Except now that I say that she's all done, I just realized there's a key that hangs from this wrist that's just a little bit of back stitching. So I need to, okay, so I have just the tiniest bit. You can see there's these little like strings and then the little key. Tiniest bit of back stitching, but as far as the major stitching goals go, goal met. Excellent. Yay! She's so pretty. I'm really happy with how she turned out. And so, starting March 21st, I'll move over to finishing off spring. And I'll use the seasonal, the formal seasonal dates as my goal. So my goal was by March 21st. I'm way ahead of goal, which is nice because it gives me time to do other fun But then, you know, if I start feeling super springy, maybe I'll get a jump on this spring. Who knows? It could happen. 2023 is kind of a fly by the seat of inspiration pants kind of year. I was watching I Am a Stitch Nerd this morning, and in the beginning of her episode, she said, I lied about everything I was going to do last video. And it just gave me a giggle because that's how this year feels. I told her, I was like, oh, this is my 2023 motto. Like, best laid plans get pretty consistent derailment at this point. Anyways, I thought it was cute. Also, if you haven't gone and watched her, she does some really beautiful things. And she's also a fellow quilter. So she's lots of fun to watch. Okay. Next one is, oh my goodness, it is so bright in here right now. I'm gonna go get my sunglasses. This one was a new start this month, officially a new start. I do think the Mad Hatter I started at the end of January, but this one was for sure a new start this month. So it's Alice Meets the Caterpillar, and this one is designed by Kyoko Maruka, and she is the designer for Gervais, which I love her charts. They have this delightful whimsy to them. I've done a couple of her things before, and they're always enjoyable. Okay, here we go. So I'm stitching this on, oh, I just dumped my information. Oh. Stitching this on 29 count of all things, crushed strawberry. It's just a basic linen again. But it's the prettiest color, and it's got some quirks. Anyway, this is where I am. It was a new start, so I don't have a before. And it's so cute. So it's an interesting linen. You can see it's a fairly loose weave. And I actually noticed as I was stitching, it's got some goobery flaws in it, which is kind of a bummer, but from a distance you can't really tell. And some of that, I don't know that I will actually get stitched over, but anyways, you won't be able to tell. It'll be okay. It's not going in a fair for competition or anything, so no worries. Anyways, I started stitching this 2/2, which is what I normally do for like 28 count, 16 count, you know, that range. I like good full coverage, but I also don't want it to be bulky. Anyways, because this is a little bit looser weave, it felt a little spacey. It just wasn't giving me the coverage I wanted. So I'm actually stitching this 3/2, which I almost never do. And it's been interesting, you guys. It's been interesting. And I think I've finally gotten the hang of the stitching, but there are a couple of spots, like don't look too closely, that I just could not, when I was first stitching with the 3 strands, I could not get them to lay nicely, which it's not like I've never stitched with 3 strands before. I definitely have. In fact, I did another Gervais chart that was these cute little mushrooms and gnomes, and oh my goodness, it's delightful. And it was so much fun to do, but I was working on a bigger count. I think it was a 13 or something like that, and it really supported 3 strands nicely. It just gave like this full, almost needlepoint effect, just dense color. Anyways, so that's kind of what I figured would happen here, and I think it's getting there. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but it might have just been on the verge. I've played a little with my needle size as well, going to a bigger needle to give the thread more space in your fabric can help with how your stitches lay, and I think that really has made a difference as well. I normally stitch with a 28 or a 26 size needle. I prefer the smaller ones, but going to a larger needle I think that's helped. Anyway, it's cute, and it's been a lot of fun. The colors are so vivid that it's been a lot of fun to stitch on. So that's Alice Meets the Caterpillar. And then I went off the rails a little bit because I just didn't want to do the things I'd had planned. Because why would we do that? So I pulled out a whip. Oops, wrong spot. Main pictures. Here we go. I pulled out a whip and stitched on it for one afternoon. So that is my watercolor unicorn, my little room in the attic. I found it off of Etsy. She does beautiful watercolor effect thread work. Her work really is beautiful. I can hardly wait to get into more of the details on it and this is definitely a project that the back stitching will make all the difference in the world. I don't remember when I started this. I want to say it's a couple of years ago though, probably as a Stitch Mania start. Oh, I didn't show you where I was. Stitch Mania is not really a thing anymore, which is probably good. I'm pretty competent at starting all the projects I want to anyways. And I know the people who hosted it are off doing other wonderful things. This is where I started. So I had a pretty decent start. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I started it a couple years ago and I pull it out every year and put a little bit in, but it's one of those projects that it's hard to get back into. There's a lot of blended threads and everything is so close to itself that that's one of the things that makes it beautiful, but it also makes it hard to kind of get your brain back in the game, if that makes sense. It just takes some focus to find where you were. And when I started this, I had not started doing working copies and highlighting or tracking what I had stitched and not stitched at that point. I was just using, the traditional magnet board with a highlighter plastic and your magnet, and you kind of follow the lines as you go through. And so it made it a harder one to just pick up casually. I have made myself a working copy and highlighted what I've stitched now, which took a little doing, but I think it'll make it a lot easier to just pick up. But it's beautiful. It's very satisfying too. I did basically this upper petal area, and it's very satisfying to watch grow. Maybe because there is a little bit more effort into it. But they're just lovely, fresh spring colors, and it was one of those days where I just needed something different, some color. So that's fun. That'll stay out, here and there for a while now, I think. My brain, my heart is ready for spring. Okay, another random pull from my whip stack. I was watching Whips and Sips with Justine and Shelley, and Shelley was going through a whip parade at the start of February, and she had been working on After the Roses, which I started last summer. Small start, but it's one of those ones that I saw it when I was at Acorns and Threads, because at the time I was living in Oregon, and I just loved it. There's an elegance to it. It's really, really beautiful. And I've always admired ink circles patterns, but I've never pulled the trigger on one before. They can be a bit intense, some of them, kind of on the long dog side of life. Anyways, but this one was beautiful enough that I didn't even hesitate to snatch that up. So this is where my start was. Well, I know it's very impressive. That was my start from last year. And I didn't do a lot. Like I said, it was only one afternoon. and not even the whole afternoon of stitching, because I was working on getting caught up on the Sal and doing little things. So I've kind of been piecemealing my time out between different projects, but that's where I got. I'm working on Mount Air linens. It's a 32 count. The color is plum pudding, and it's divine. It's so lovely. I need to zigzag the edges because, my goodness, messy edges. It's like I need to sweep it under the rug. Oh, shameful. Anyways, this is beautiful to work on. The threads are such beautiful colors, and I'm really excited to see what happens as I bring some of the more intense greens and sea foam, and then into those berry colors that are the roses. This one's going to be really fun to watch grow. I'm probably going to keep it in the rotation in March, just because Shelly has me all inspired to work on it. Okay. I've got 3 more that I stitched on in the last 2 weeks. Oh, wait, where is my... I need to grab something out of my bucket over here because I'm so organized. Okay, so let's do this one next. So, excuse the zipper. Sorry, I'll try to be quick. My beautiful Into Dreamland. Oh my gosh. I swear every time I see the final image, I get re-inspired. It is so gorgeous. Oh, she's not going anywhere. She'll be in the rotation forever until she's done. Even if she only gets a day or 2 a month, she'll be in the rotation. So this is where I was. I had pretty much, done 3/4 of the first page. But we talked a little bit last time about how I wanted to break that page line up. So that's kind of what I focused on this week this last chunk of time in my stitching, was working on breaking up, filling in still, but also really working on breaking up that hard edge of the line. And this is where I am. So it was kind of magic, you guys, to go from this really stark line. The line is very satisfying, especially the outer edge, but something about breaking that and saying, oh, but wait, there's more. That was really cool. So I filled in all of this green here. We've got our 2 sweet little birds, which I almost think makes this bird show better to give some point of reference. Worked on starting to fill in some of the dark stuff down here. Anyway, so I think I'll go down next week, in the next 2 weeks, and break up this line, and then we'll just kind of, wherever the inspiration takes me after that. But it's beautiful, and I so enjoy working on it still. What was I watching? We watched 4 Feathers. That's what I was watching when I watched this. Have you seen the 4 Feathers? It's an older movie, probably late 90s, early 2000s. Anyways, it's a good one. And I hadn't seen it in a long, long time. But I like to watch, I'm so goofy. I like to watch things that kind of fit the mood or emotion of what I'm stitching on. So that, to me, it's kind of like reading books. I have categories for my books, fun books, exciting books, educational books. And then I have this category called beautiful books, which are books that just make you feel like, oh, all warm and fuzzy and happy or inspired or, just beautiful emotions. So they're my beautiful books. And it's the same thing with this project. I consider this a beautiful project So I want to watch beautiful things while I'm stitching it. I don't I'm such a goober. Okay, anyways, there's my nerd moment for the moment. Good grief. Okay, next one. This was a new start. So that's 2 new starts. I think I started 4 things. And I have more planned, so it's fine. I finished pretty much 4 things this year. They're small. The ones I'm starting are bigger, but who's counting? Mojo stitches in the library, which is my new passion. I love this stitch, and I was really gonna try to get so it's a totally new start, and I'm stitching on oh, blessed relief, little cloud there for a minute. That was nice. Lakeside Linens, vintage pearl barley, which has this beautiful marbling to it, and with the called for cottage garden threads, which I am new to but completely enamored with at this point. It is spectacular and I'm loving every stitch. I wanted to get this whole shelf done, and then I was just distracted and life was intermittently busy. Last week was crazy. I mean, last week was really busy. So, life happens. It'll still be here for me. But we have an informal Sal going with it. Julie Stitches on Instagram, she purchased it when I showed it the first time. And after I showed it the first time, and it's like, oh, it'd be so fun to do a Sal. So we don't have anything formal going, but if you use the hashtag in the library Sal, then we can kind of, if you're working on it, if you ever work on it, it's, like I said, totally informal. There's no timeline or dates or anything like that. It's just because we're kind of stitching it at the same time. So it's fun to be able to see each other's work. And she started up in this border, this ivy border, which is gorgeous, and now I want to work on the border because it's beautiful. Anyway, I am loving this project. So that one's not going anywhere either. That one's staying in the rotation for March. Oops. Okay. 2 more starts, and then we'll end with Snow Maiden as far as show and tell goes, and that's for a purpose. So my brother-in-law really likes Star Wars, and I grew up watching Star Wars. I like Star Wars. It's great. I've watched the new movies as they've come out, and always enjoyed it, but I was never I loved Star Trek and X-Files and shows like that. And so even though I enjoyed Star Wars and I watched it many times growing up, I just didn't dive deep into, that world. Anyways, but my brother-in-law really likes it. And so it has me, what's the word? Motivated, I guess is the way to put it, to revisit the lore of Star Wars. And anyways, I'm watching it. Gosh, this is such a long preamble. I'm watching Star Wars chronologically, including the offshoot series, so Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Andor. I mean, there's so many now. But I'm going through, and right now I'm in the middle of Clone Wars, and I was like, I need a Star Wars stitch for while I'm watching this. That would be super fun. So I went on the interwebs and found this adorable, I'm going to call him Baby Yoda because I haven't gotten to the part where I can remember his real name. But he looks like Baby Yoda, so he's Baby Yoda to me, and C-3PO and R2-D2. But I love the color as well as it being really adorable, I just love the colors in it. And so I thought it would be enjoyable to stitch as well as cute. That didn't make any sense. Don't worry about it. Anyways, it's a new start, and my goal would be on this one, soft goal, to have it finished by the time I come to the end of the series, which there's a lot of content out there, so I don't think that'll be a problem. But I'm using the other half of Cauldron. This is Picture This Plus Cauldron, which if you've been watching my Flosstubes, you'll recognize from Mr. Tom Turkey. Turkey Day is being stitched on the other half of this piece, and it seems like a pretty like non sequitur piece, like why did she pick that? But I promise I auditioned like 5 or 6 different fabrics and it's gonna be really cool when it all comes together. I just think it's gonna pick up, because these corals and yellows all stay in the heart of the design. It's just gonna do a really cool color play. Like, things will show up in a different way because of it, and I'm really excited by it. So here's my little start. This is the like collar of his robes. This is actually part of his ear, and then just the beginning of that kind of nebula sunset glow in the middle. I know, really impressive start, but I think it'll be really fun. No, I know it'll be really fun. It's already fun. I'm enjoying it, and it is fun to be working on a Star Wars stitch while I watch Star Wars. Kind of like my Star Trek stitches for when my husband and I watch our Star Trek shows. I don't know, just you need a little nerdy fandom in your life sometimes, all the time. You need it all the time. Okay, sorry, one more zipper, you guys. I apologize. Okay, so one last new start, and this one was just yesterday. So if you're on my Instagrams, you'll recognize this. This is the visitor. I also shared it a few episodes ago as, I think it might have been as part of my kit parade. And I had a very similar peachy color linen for the background, but it was a really poor quality linen. And so I had a lot of hesitation to start it. Just because, you know, we put a lot of work and hours and heart into these projects, and they deserve, you know, the best we can give them if we're going to give them all that time. Anyway, so I wanted it to be the right fabric, and in August, I think it was, I impulse bought this fabric. And so when I pulled this project out again, as like, there was, I think, I don't know if it was a formal sal or what, but I feel like I saw somewhere in the world of, you know, stitching, like a February aviary, you know, bird themed projects kind of sal. And so for the last couple weeks, like, I've been thinking, oh, I should start that. I could start it as part of that. And because I've been wanting to. Anyways, all this preamble is to say my impulse purchase is going to be the perfect fabric for it. It's one of those times when it all came together. Here, let me see if I can fold it over. So yesterday, my head was even worse than today, and this is all the stitching I did. It's about a half hour. And then my head was protesting in a very, very large way. So I put it down. But it was just enough to show how awesome this is going to be. And here I have kitted up my colors now, so they're kind of scraggly, but you can get the kind of basic effect. I mean, it's going to be so pretty. I am so excited. I wasn't sure if it was too dynamic a piece at first, and then I got the colors on it. I was like, oh no, she's gonna be gorgeous. So I'm very excited about this. I'm excited to get more into it. It was a necessary bummer to put it down yesterday. But oh my goodness, it's going to be so fun to stitch on. So that is not going anywhere either. Can you see the whittling happening? Like, I've got some fun, really fun things I've worked on, but I'm ready to move into a new rotation. So some things that I've brought out are going to stay, and then we've got new things coming in. Okay, so I'm going to end with Snow Maiden, showing you this beauty. And I'm going to stitch on her until spring officially starts. So she's got a couple more weeks. Don't focus on me, focus on her. A couple more weeks till she gets kicked to the curb. And I was originally going to kick her to the curb in today at the start of March. This is where we started. She's so gorgeous. This is a terrible picture because it was evening stitching, but I really like having the progress pictures. They're a good reminder that even though it doesn't feel like I've made a lot of progress, that a lot of stitching has gone into it. A reminder for myself, as much as a good way to share it with you guys. Anyways, so I was going to put her down because, you know, she's very wintry. Snow Maiden, right? This is where we are. But this is my lead into Stitchy Kindness, because I had someone reach out to me, and I'm not going to say names in my Stitchy Kindness. I try to be very intentional about reaching out to everybody who does this and thanking them personally. I hesitate to even share Stitchy Kindness, not because I'm not so grateful. I truly am. It's beyond it. It blows my mind every time someone reaches out and they're like, oh, I'd love to, you know, pass the stash, or this made me think of you, and whatever, because I don't want anybody to feel obligated. Like, I'm not like, please give me stuff. You know, as much fun as it is, like, that's not my purpose in sharing it. I am just trying to share my love for the craft. And so I've hesitated to share it, but I've had a number of very generous stitchy goodnesses happen. Goodnesses? Is that a word? Yes, it is. It's official, technical term. And anyway, I've had a number of very generous things, and I just want to share them. So I've decided to make it happen. Anyways, she reached out to me and said, I want to stitch this too. And while I was in the shop, I bought myself an embellishment kit, and I bought one for you too. What? Seriously? Guys?
I found this on the web.
Oh, Siri, go away. She's always dropping my eaves. Okay. So I have beads. So I can't put her away. I wanted to break this package open last week and just dive into it. But the week was not only very busy, but I also wanted to share it as it came. So thank you again. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to get some beads in on Snow Maiden. So I think that's where I will devote some attention for the next couple weeks of winter, and we'll watch some magic happen on her. It'll be really fun. I've got a number of Mirabilias underway, but I've done some small beading projects, but I've never beaded on a Mirabilia yet. So this will be an adventure. I'm very excited. Thank you so much. I need to go find a beading needle. I may have one. Maybe. I'll have to check. Anyways, that was so lovely of her. Oh my goodness, so generous. You guys blow my mind. So that opens the door into a couple of other Stitchy Kindnesses, and these are in no particular order. They're just as they're stacked here in my dresser. But I had one gal reach out and she passed the stash on it. It was a little kit, but I love ladybugs, and my mom called me Ladybug when I was growing up, still does. And she's like, if you want it, there's still, you can see there's still thread in there, so just have to find a cute little piece of something to stitch on, and I'll get to stitch that again. And she gave me the most gorgeous card. Like, I want to frame this card. It's so beautiful, but inside it's in French, which was super fun because I'm trying to learn French slowly but surely. And so that was a really fun surprise. I opened it up. I was like, oh my goodness, I recognize this. Now I've got to figure out what it says, but you know, I was able to follow more than I give myself credit for. This was from another lovely gal. 3 charts. There was more in the box, but these are the 3 I really fell in love with. She was passing the stash. Plum Street Samplers Flirting. I think it's so cute. And this one is so beautiful. A red work, Lila's Studio. And I'm not a big sampler person, but I'm like leaning into them gently this year. For some reason, they're appealing to me. And this one is so lovely with the bird and just being one color. I think I might stitch it if I could find like the perfect green or blue. I think it would be lovely. And then the last one from her is Vintage Tulip Design by Midsummer. No, it's Midsummer Garden by Vintage Tulip Design. And that is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Talk about making my purple loving heart happy. It's so beautiful. Alright, so thank you for this and everything else that was in the box. It was a treat to go through. And then I mentioned in my last video, and this is all still in the package because, girl, you know who you are and you totally surprised me. Just saying. So she reached out and she's like, oh, you mentioned that you were just working out of a notebook this year for your plans, and if you want, I have an extra book of days. And I was like, oh, I've never used that before. If you're sure it's extra, yeah, thank you. I mean, I'd love to try it. And so I am so excited to get into planning this, and I'm really hopeful that it will help me focus a little bit better, be a little bit more organized. And she's like, oh, and by the way, I thought since you're in the Pacific Northwest and you're doing the cottage garden samplings, the beaver was appropriate. So if you want that too, you can have that. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it's on my list as one of the ones to get. So thank you. And I thought that's all that was coming. And I was so happy and grateful. And then she added more stuff. So she gave me these cute little scissors, which, I mean, you can never have too many tiny little scissors. And this really sweet Jim Shore ornament. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. And I have a couple of Jim Shore sculpture things around my house at various times of year. There's adorable little tiny old Nordic Santa. I mean, he's so cute. He has kind of a turtle face with how they've done his beard, and I like that. He's really cute. And it's a little kit. It has the perforated paper, which I might swap out. I don't know. We'll see. He does look cute finished that way. I've just not done a lot with the perforated paper. So we'll see. And then she included one more cottage garden. You guys are spoiling me rotten. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh, and these. So I stitch in hand. I don't use hoops, but occasionally I have a few larger projects that just have a lot of extra fabric, and I've seen people using these. They're little magnets that kind of contain the fabric so your hands don't have to. And I love that idea of having it, because I use, where are they? Here we go. Try not to like rattle your brains out here, but little like wonder clips and stuff like that, you know, for binding clips basically. But they work great for just pinching a little bit of fabric together to keep it from bursting open. This will be far superior, and I'm very excited to try it. So thank you very much, everybody who has, even if your stuff wasn't included here, I know I've showed a couple things before, but I am always so grateful and surprised. I honestly flabbergasted to have people reach out to me with this kindness. So thank you very much. It's very enabling and really sweet of you. Okay, so let's see here. Let's move into, let's do my haul first. Let's go into my haul. There's not a ton, but I did get a few things. A woman, I was in a, let me see, I don't want the pattern to show. Where's my cardboard? There it is. I just buried it naturally. A woman I was in sew along with through, or stitch along with through wintertime, the Joy of Winter style that I did. She was in that group, and she designs patterns, and not just like boring dumb patterns, like really lovely patterns. And she just published this one, and I fell in love with it so hard and fast. It says, "Never forget the difference you make," and then initials and a date. And I have looked for a memorial piece for my grandmother, who was very special to me and passed 2 years ago this week. And I don't normally talk about it because it's hard and everybody's grief is different, and I'm not afraid of that, but you know, you never know how controlled you'll be. Anyways, I've looked for a memorial piece, and this is so joyful and beautiful, and I considered changing it to "Never underestimate the difference that you made," but I think she would like the continuation of things. So I'm going to leave the phrase the same, and then I'm going to do her birth year, which is 1942, instead of her death year, because I feel very strongly in celebrating people's lives. The end of their life is often emotionally traumatic. But my grandma's life is what I remember. And so I want to celebrate her life. And so I'm going to put the beginning of her life rather than the end of it, and then her initials there. And so I'm on the hunt for a lovely piece of linen in the next few weeks, and I would like to start this month. Anyways, so that is beautiful. It's Yasmin's Made with Love, and she has Instagram and a Flosstube, and she does beautiful things. She stitches a lot of beautiful things on top of designing a lot of beautiful things. So this woman's got it going. Okay, so when I ordered my floss, I didn't want to pay $5 shipping on one floss. So naturally, a couple of extra things found their way into my cart. Ink circles. What's it called? Arranging mushrooms. I don't often look at the names. I just look at the picture and go, yeah. It's so cute. And I've looked at it before, and finally I was just like, all right, it's time. And then a spring Year in the Woods. The cute little rabbit with his little smiley face. Oh my goodness. I think it's Poppy Stitches on Instagram is stitching this right now, or stitched it last year. It's her little profile icon, and it's so cute. And I want to say she made the flowers a little bit more blue, and I like that. So I might lean into that inspiration as well. And then this one, you've probably seen it. I feel like I've seen it all of a sudden all over the place. The Pink Sparrow sampler. I saw it in Nebraska while I was there in Omaha at Reflections. And I even pulled all the threads and found a linen, and like it was all ready to go. And then it was like, I can't fully kit up like 3 different things. I have to pick and choose. So I chose 2 that I'd fully kitted up and put this one back. But then I keep seeing it everywhere. And I was like, all right, well, yeah, it's one I should at least have in my reserves for the day when it's time to kit it up. It's super beautiful. And I've seen a couple of different interesting finishes. One person stitched it on kind of a mustard is not the right word. Oh, kind of like this. Ugh. Leave it to Lord of the Rings to win the day. Kind of this color, which seems like it doesn't match, but it was a really neat effect. So I have to decide if I want to go like true spring, fresh, lovely, lovely, or if I want to go kind of funky but really cool. Also, these are my tiny little Lord of the Rings set. I have multiple sets of this series, but I love my little tiny one. I think I got it at Costco of all places. Anyway, so then I 2 more because apparently it was impulse shopping because all I wanted to do was buy market stuff. But Charlie Feathers, I blame you for several of my things. Because I don't know. So Charlie Feathers is on Instagram and I follow her, and she just is lovely and does beautiful things, but she enables me into doing way too much stuff. So this is one of those things. She shared it, and I've started, tiny start, this gal, Una Buena Pieza, on Instagram, not on Instagram, excuse me, on Etsy. She did the cutest little, I mean, same shape, same idea, but it has like little ghosts and, you know, bats and Halloween kind of things. So it's a cute little Halloween stitch. This one's just like nighttime forest creatures, and between the owls and the moon in the center and the little fox faces, and I knew I had to get this one. So I scooted my little butt over to Instagram, and then I got in touch. Oh, this is the other one, Charlie Feathers. I blame you for this as well. Thank you. Stop doing such awesome stuff on Instagram. So this is the new owl forest embroidery, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it made my eyes turn into hearts. And then I have not started pulling any flosses for it yet. I do think I've found the appropriate fabric if I go matchy-matchy to what they did. This is just one of my, it's a coffee dyed, lightly coffee dyed even weave. Yeah, that's an even weave, but it's big, so it'll fit it really easily. In fact, I think I'll have extra. But you know, you never know what happens when you start pulling threads. They use their beautiful hand-dyed cottons, over-dyed cottons, and they give good DMC conversions. So I need to pull out the DMC conversion, and then I'll just play in my floss and trade out for over-dyeds from my collection as I can find them. So that'll take a little doing, but that'll be a real fun afternoon. One of these days. I probably will save this for, I don't know, summertime. In Spokane, where I grew up, the roses bloomed in June. And so that might be an appropriate time to start it. Okay, my last, see, Instagram. I mean, not even Instagram, Etsy. I should never be allowed to go on Etsy. So this cute little guy I actually have a picture for this one because I feel like it printed out way darker than it is. It's oh my god, crochet a go, I'm not sure how this would be pronounced. But she does really sweet designs. And I was feeling particularly Eastery the day I purchased this, and which is weird for me because I don't do a lot for Easter anymore. I don't have kids, and so Easter Bunny doesn't come to visit. We don't dye eggs, we don't do... See, it's not showing. It's so cute. This is so cute. The little row of houses, even if I only stitch that or only stitch this one with the kitty cats and the little bird in the tree, it's really, really delightful. And I love the little bumblebees all over the place. It just shouted spring to me. I like it. And I don't have anything to stitch it on. I think it's charted in DMCs, so that's not complicated, but it's not going to be a start right away, I don't think. So I've got a lot of other things going, but it's super cute. And what's it called? Primavera in Sita. I'm wondering, she might be Italian, so that might be the inflection to give those. Anyways, super cute. She has a lot of really darling designs, and they all kind of have this cutesy vibe to them. I really want to do, I don't know why, but I'm drawn to soda stitch charts right now. They're so cute. And a couple people that I follow on Instagram have been finishing some of their designs, and oh my goodness, they're really darling. So I think that's what got me, and I was like looking at different soda stitch things, and then I wound up finding that. Anyways, details you didn't need. Okay, my tablet is almost dead, so we're going to try to do this really quick. I just wanted to talk Nashville dreams, and then we'll go into my plans. Because there's never... Let's see if I scroll that way. Yeah. So this is just my little preview of the ones that I like. Teresa Kogut. I think it's called Nature Sings. It's so cute. And I don't normally go for like the big blocks of green or anything like that, but I mean, birds, right? It's my year for birds. So it's really, really cute. Armchair Ornithologist, I have pre-ordered because, yeah. Thank you, Lindy Stitches. Oh my goodness, this one is so cute. Stacy Nash, and it just makes me want to be back in my house in Portland and have my chickens next door because they were so quirky and fun, and I love them. Autumn Lane Stitchery, Turtle Island. I don't know what it's actually called. Turtle Island, I do not think is its formal name, but it is a turtle and it is an island. So, so there you have it. This one I really, really like. This one, Blue Flower, she got me again. The gold sun, the glad sun goes across the sky. Oh my goodness. And look at the detail. Like the sunbeams are all swirly durly, and the fancy feathers on the birds. She's just lovely. And she's pre-ordered. This one's Eliza's French Birds, I think is what it's called. And I think that's just, it's elegant. It's lovely. Oops, no, I don't want to like... I'm drawing a blank for who this is, but it's on my Instagram. I did post this one on my Instagram. I think it's really fun. It's kind of crazy detailed. There's a lot to look at in this, but it's cute. Okay, Tiny Modernist, again, so cute. Pre-ordered. So I pre-ordered 3. Those are my favorites. I think that's all that I have saved pictures of. I mean, there are so many good ones. So I just call them my Nashville dreams because, you know, they're new charts. They're not going anywhere. There tends to be this kind of craze of excitement and like, oh, I want to get them all, but they're not going anywhere. They'll still be around. And so I did pre-order 3, and then the other ones I'll just collect gradually. So those will be fun, happy mail at some point in the next month or so. I don't know how long it takes for things to turn around. I've never actually ordered, like pre-ordered from Market before. It's kind of new. I've purchased from Acorns and Threads right after they got back from Market, so it's pretty close. It's basically the same thing, but this is like the anticipatory, is that a word? I don't know. We're making up all kinds of words today. Kind of purchasing. Anyways, but I had to be kind of controlled because I already indulged in extra charts this month. So I'm very excited for those. I'm excited to see what else comes out of Market because I feel like there's a select handful of charts that always gets a lot of attention, and then there are a lot of other really gorgeous things that kind of float under the radar and then they crop up through the years. So it'll be really fun to see what kind of floats to the surface after all the excitement kind of settles a little bit. My plans for March. Let's do that next. I do not have formal plans yet. So I have this loose idea of like a theme of the month because this feels like a year where I'm not really settling into a real rigid structure very well. And while some structure is good and productive, I think over structuring it can take the joy out of it. And I don't want to do that. This is my hobby. This is my creative process. So I don't want to structure it to death. But some kind of idea of where I'm going with my stitching, I think would be good. So I kind of toyed with like a theme of the month. Like, one I'm totally sold on is Sci-Fi July. I think that would be super fun. And so anything like space or, kind of that Sci-Fi July. August would be like ocean themed, so mermaids and beaches and summery things like that. And because I'm kind of soft committing July to sci-fi kind of themed things, I thought of doing maybe a patriotic June, like leading up into the United States 4th of July festivities. Anyways, kind of some weird little ideas there, and it's all very hypothetical at this point. But for March, I'd kind of considered doing a magical March because I'm cool, and so I pulled out my stacks here. Pulled out some of my whips. I was like, okay, what magical themed whips do I have that I could like blend in with some of the other projects I want to carry forward. So unicorns are magical, and I am going to restart this one. Another Gara, the Lady and the Unicorn, which I love, and I'd started it on this really stiff, nasty 18 count Aida, and it was not fun to stitch, and I barely did anything. So I have this just scrap of kind of whatever-y, but it will fit on there, and it's full coverage, so it doesn't really matter what it's stitched on so much that it's comfortable to stitch on, and this is super soft. So I've got all my colors kitted up, and this will be a restart, which will be really good because I've wanted to work on this, but when you pick the wrong fabric, it kind of kills the inspiration. Totoro's going to come back out because he is a tree spirit and a forest spirit, and he is magical, and so he'll get some love this month. And then I have two, sorry for the zippers here, ancient old Sals that are magical themed. This is, I think, fantasy. Yeah, this is just the Fantasy Sal by Lakes. I'm not prepared for this part of it. Fantasy Sal by, here we go, Lakeside Needlecraft. See, I had the right beginnings in my brain. It just didn't quite make it out. And I'm stitching it on a 28 count Zweigart even weave. So there's some border to do, and even if I just focused on the borders and left all the cute little fun stuff for later, it would be set up for making great progress on. Anyway, so that'll come out on Sal Saturdays. And I have one more, which I don't have a picture for, I'm afraid. It's the Magical Creatures Calendar by Clouds Factory. And I got the entire border done on this one when I started it. But then I was doing my like swap out the colors kind of game, and this tree, which is supposed to be a very frosty January tree, but it blended in so much that I kind of lost my enthusiasm for it. I think it's okay though. It shows more in person, and it is supposed to be frosty. It's okay, right? Like, say it's okay. I don't want to rip it out. And they'll have a little bit more, I mean, obviously, he has no skin, and there's some flowers and things. I'm taking out the month names though and filling in with extra details. And I'll get an overall formal like picture for this before I show it again next time, but this will be one that I'm gonna pull out for Magical March. And then because it's Magical March, I needed a fairy because fairies are magical. And I did a video chat with my sister, and we looked at, I have 3 fairies that have starts on them. And this was the one that I have the biggest struggle with my fabric choice right now. She's gorgeous. I'm going to switch up her wings a little bit more. I don't want them to read so much butterfly as a little bit more iridescent. And this is my start on her. Where's my cardboard? Mystery cardboard. There it is. Buried again. I know, you're shocked. So this is my start on her. And I started on like the weirdest, ookiest color possible. I don't know why. It's her bum. So it's this dark chunk right back here. So it really is not going to touch the pink. But right now it does, and it's kind of like, ooky, right? Like it's just not like grabbing me. But I can't quite give up on it yet because floss toss wise, I do like the colors on the pink. And I think once you get into these softer yellows that are really what her dress body is made out of, I think it'll all come together. So our theory was, after video chatting, to pull her out and give her some more love and see if it doesn't start to come together and jive. And if it doesn't, then at that point, you know, redirect possibly. But get more in on her first, so it's not just her ooky bum, and that maybe we can get to, oh, my computer's doing it again. Maybe we can get to the good parts and it will all come together like the color palette suggests it should. All right, I'm gonna have to end this and like re-clip in another section. Sorry, my computer is being dumb at the end. I'm back for the wrap up. I don't know what my computer's doing today. I'm gonna have to like reboot it or something before I try to upload anything because sketchy. Anyway, so Magical March, those are kind of some of my ideas, things to, whips to pull out and put some more love into. And then I'm gonna keep my beautiful bird and Star Wars and in the library out. And then, yeah, anyways. So I'll have to do some organizing so that everything gets its own special day or 2 or 3. through the month. But I now have my calendar to do so with, so that will be totally possible. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to chat about today. I watched a lot of really wonderful floss tubers in the last few weeks. I've been doing some more quilting, which means I've been trimming down some like 1,200 squares. And so it gave me a lot of time where I just needed some entertainment while I did this really boring stuff. And it was really fun to catch up with some of my regulars and then to watch some newbies. And so I'll list them down below. Be sure to go and give them some love if you've got the time. And because there's some really beautiful things being done out there in the Flosstube world, and we always want to share the love, right? Oh my goodness, my computer's doing it again. Okay, so we're gonna cut this short because is it still going? Oh my goodness. Short and sweet is the name of the game. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry my computer's a goober. Sorry my brain is a goober today because my head is a monster. But I hope you enjoyed. I sure love catching up with everybody, and I hope you have a marvelous couple of weeks. I'm going out of town for a weekend, next weekend, and may come home with some company. So we're going to push out our next video for the 21st. So we'll meet again in 3 weeks instead of 2 to make space for that. So I'll see you then, my friends. Thanks so much for watching, and happy stitching.